Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Please come on in and find a seat. Thank you all so much for being here. Great to see so many faces. My name is Amy Elise DeYoung. I'm chair of the Jersey City Arts Council Board of Directors. Thank you, thank you. So for those of you who don't know us, the Jersey City Arts Council is a nonprofit that was established in 2016, dedicated to protecting, strengthening, and promoting the arts in Jersey City. We believe in the power of the arts to keep Jersey City creative, connected, and inclusive. And we're committed to advocating for arts policy that will help our community to thrive. I think you're all committed to that too, so thanks for being here. One of our big arts policy accomplishments was the establishment of the Jersey City Arts and Culture Trust Fund. We have an annual report, a few copies in the back if you want to peruse later that just give a little more information, but I can tell you the basics. So starting in 2018, the Jersey City Arts Council began working with Mayor Fulop, who's here tonight, and Senator Brian Stack. Thank you. And Assembly members Raj Mukherjee and Angela McKnight. They were working on legislation that would allow municipalities to hold referenda on a tax for the arts. In November of 2020, Jersey City voters passed that referendum and created the Jersey City Arts and Culture Trust Fund. Jersey City is the first municipality in the state of New Jersey that has a dedicated tax just to support the arts. A round of applause for that. So the first grant cycle that awarded money to artists and organizations was in 2022. We've had a cycle every year since then. And this year, the Arts and Culture Trust Fund awarded over $1 million to individual artists, arts businesses, and arts organizations. A lot of those grant recipients are here tonight, so thank you for being here and for sharing your art with the community. We love to see how you're kind of putting those funds to work. We're looking forward as an organization to continuing to expand our work with policymakers and with the arts community. We're so happy that you've joined us tonight. This is the first of our series called City Conversations. In this series, we're going to bring together voices from across sectors to explore the different forces that are shaping our creative landscape. As we know, this is an important year for politics in Jersey City and for policy making. So we're excited tonight to hear from a few leaders in the field, and we'll address some of the questions that you've shared. I see that we have many folks who are running for office here with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here to listen and be part of the conversation. We're also honored tonight to have Mayor Fulop with us, so I'd like to invite him up to say a few words.
Good evening. Thank you. You know, the beauty of not running for office is I could dress like this. I could speak openly, a little bit more freely, and really think like all of you about what the next 4 months will hold for Jersey City and for the arts community. I want to say thank you to the Arts Council. They have been phenomenal partners for what we have been able to do over the last 12 years, and specifically over the last 8 years. Many of the people involved have been part of the arts community here for a very long time. By show of hands, just quick question, how many of you have lived in Jersey City for more than 10 years? Okay, that's a lot of you. And how many more than 20 years? It's good, it's good. I think part of our challenge here is that we need to get some of the newer residents in these rooms as well to kind of understand a little bit more about all of the arts and culture that Jersey City has to offer. Those of you that have lived here more than 10 years could attest to the fact that the city has changed a lot in the last 12 years. It's not perfect. Nobody's going to say it's perfect. But when we ran for office, our team, 12 years ago, and some of them are here today, we were very clear about an objective to make Jersey City the best mid-sized city in the country and recognized nationally as a place that's desirable. And I would articulate during the campaign that arts, culture, and nightlife is a key part of making that a reality. And the reason I felt that way, and I would say it in every single forum and debate, is because people choose to live in a place like this. And you gotta ask yourself, why would somebody choose to live in Jersey City? It's a densely populated place. You could get more space in the suburban areas. There's less challenges living in a place like Jersey City. People choose to live here because of the diversity, because of the culture, because of the nightlife, because of the arts. Those are reasons that people choose to live in a place like this. And it's important that we have partners to accentuate that. She touched on earlier that there's several people here that are running for office. I know the mayoral candidates are speaking or having a couple comments later. And it's really important, you as many of you living here 20 plus years, recognize who shows up at these things and who shows up again and again and again, not only during election time. I tell you that because I will say that progress is a very fragile thing. It is difficult to build. It takes a lot of time. It is very easy to reverse. And so your choice is very important this November. Listen to what the people say. Dig into it. Put your emotions aside for a second and think about who will be best for the Arts Council, arts, culture, and the future of Jersey City. So with that, I just want to say thank you for coming out and supporting the Arts Council. Thank you for making Jersey City the place what it is. And most importantly for me, thank you for the privilege of being the mayor for the last 12 years. Thank you.
All right, now I'm going to welcome up our new Executive Director of the Jersey City Arts Council. He will be moderating tonight's discussion. Please welcome Deonté Griffin-Quick.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How's everyone this evening? That was a little too quiet, so let's try that again. How's everybody doing this evening? I always give the disclaimer, I grew up in a Black Baptist church, so I like audience feedback when I have these types of experiences. So this is a conversation, as Amy said, and thank you, Amy, for getting us started. I am Deonté Griffin-Quick, the new Executive Director of the Jersey City Arts Council. I think I'm only like 2 months into this role, but I've had such an amazing experience thus far, getting to know this community, getting to know the stakeholders, the residents here, the artists, the arts leaders here in Jersey City. And I thought it was so important, as we know that we have elections coming up in Jersey City and in the state, because we'll be also voting for a new governor this year. It is important that we talk about arts policy and how do we engage as artists, as culture bearers, as organizational leaders, as curators in arts policy, as activism. So I'm super excited to welcome this great panel as well. I'm gonna introduce them. They have very long bios, but you can see more of that on our website and on their respective websites as well. So we have Lynn Toy, who is the Executive Director of the New Jersey Arts and Cultural Renewal Fund. We have Robinson Holloway, who is the founder and CEO of Arts 14C. And we have Danielle Scott, who is an amazing artist from right here in Jersey City, an NAACP Image Award nominee for this year. And I know she'll talk a little bit more about the amazing work that she is doing. But I just want to really lay the foundation as to why we are here. Why are we having this conversation? For more context, City Conversations is a new initiative that we are launching with the Jersey City Arts Council to really engage in conversation. This is a conversation. Let's lay the foundation. We will not have all of the answers tonight. We are experts in our own right, but we might not have all of the answers to all of the questions. I think we are all here to learn. We're all here to engage. We're all here to discuss what are some of the challenges and what does it look like to really build strategy to move us forward as a community. But just to give a little bit more context as to why this conversation is so important right now, I just think that we also need to think about what's happening nationally at the federal level as it relates to federal funding for the arts. And some of you may know this and others may not as you're getting to know me in the community. I also sit on the board of the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies, which is the leading service organization for state arts agencies in all of the states and U.S. jurisdictions as well. And we also work with Americans for the Arts, which is a national arts policy organization, service organization as well. And just as a foundation for a definition of what it means when we talk about arts policy, the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies gave this definition that arts policy refers to laws, regulations, and public resources that determine how art is supported, practiced, and made accessible to communities. And as we really think about what's happening in our field currently, there is legislation and executive orders being pushed through or up for consideration that would really harm the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts, significantly cutting their resources down to $135 million, which is a 35% cut from last year's fiscal year. And I think that, again, we know the trickle effect of what happens at the national level has impacts here in our local communities as well. So I want to start with that as the framework as to why we're having this conversation. We know that there are other challenges right here in Jersey City. We know that there are challenges here in the state of New Jersey. But let's get into a conversation. Is that okay? Let's do it. Lynn, I actually want to start with you, just in terms of you work statewide, you lead the New Jersey Arts and Cultural Renewal Fund, which is a relatively new foundation and philanthropic partner for many organizations throughout the state. What are you seeing in terms of what's happening in philanthropy and within policy and within arts policy as well? And how are you all meeting the moment as the Renewal Fund?
That's a lot. Thank you, Deonté. I want to start by saying thank you to Deonté for the invitation, and I'm so pleased to be part of what is a great start, because it's always really about bringing the people together, bringing the people out. So I'm certain that this is a group that will be interactive, and I want to encourage that. But like you said, Deonté, I work statewide. The New Jersey Arts and Culture Renewal Fund began during COVID by a group of concerned philanthropists and arts supporters that felt that the pandemic relief resources were not reaching small community grassroots organizations and individual artists. And therefore, these people pooled their resources and developed a grant program that would award grants to organizations whose budgets were under $5 million, whose primary mission was arts education, or history. There may be some people in this room who have received grants from us, but I can assure you that we've reached all 21 counties, and there are several organizations in this area that have received resources. Now, to your question, I think an anecdote to bring to life this concept of federal funding and what's at stake would be a great way to open the conversation. It's really important that all of us are informed about what's happening. And when we say a number, saying, a third or 25% of these resources are being reduced, what does that really mean to an organization? I can say that the New Jersey Arts and Culture Renewal Fund is a pooled fund that includes resources that we receive from New Jersey and at the national level. And so as a team, when we put together an application last spring to the NEH, National Endowment for the Humanities, for a project that would connect several organizations and provide support, we received really good news in December saying, congratulations, you were awarded a grant. And then we received on April 2nd, I believe, a grant cancellation notice. So what does that mean? It means that I have less to work with to push out through the state. This is happening over and over again to our friends and to our neighbors. And what it means is a summer camp won't be able to offer scholarships. What it means is certain programs that were out in communities won't be able to be run. That's bringing to life what happens when there's grant cancellations and bad news.
And talk to us a little bit then about your strategy to address some of these issues. You and I have had some conversations in committees and personally, informally, about what we need to do to really think about how we continue to address some of these challenges, knowing that they're ongoing for the foreseeable future?
So I'm not going to take all the time because there's a lot of perspectives here in the room. I think what's important is that as a statewide organization, we facilitate collaborations, bringing people together to identify what's important and what's at stake, because there's not one answer across New Jersey. So the first part is understanding what are the unmet needs in communities and then developing a strategy to meet them. What I do know for certain is that arts organizations and cultural organizations are the glue that provide after-school care, mental health resources, career and college readiness, and so much more than just the arts, and it differs by community for what those needs are going to be.
And Robinson, I want you to actually hop in here as an organizational leader leading an arts organization right here in Jersey City. I think we would also can we have a real conversation? Let's talk about some of the real challenges. We know that there are challenges around affordability in Jersey City. Thinking about spaces for artists, renting studios, thinking about the affordability of the cost of living for arts and cultural workers as well here in the city. Thinking about, again, challenges as it relates to sustainable funding for our cultural institutions as well. What are you seeing as an organizational leader as both challenges and things that you might think are opportunities for us to engage in as well?
I think the challenges have been there for a long time and they have not gone away. They've in fact increased. Deonté and I were talking when I was first at the Arts Council. We spent that first year that the Arts Council existed going around and talking to people, trying to assess what the arts was in Jersey City, who the artists were, who the organizations were, what they needed. And back then, I just remember collecting so many stories of people who 8 years ago were leaving to go to Newark or Patterson because they couldn't afford to be here. Space was a problem. And today, space is still a problem and it's even more unaffordable. One of the things that I think is hopeful is that back then it was actually a bit of a challenge to do a mayoral debate about the arts. We looked at, there's city council races, the mayoral race. No one anywhere on their websites had a arts policy. The only thing, I think Councilman Boggiano mentioned the Lowe's. That was as close as it went to the arts. Everything, the arts was disregarded. Now, candidates are here, candidates are having an arts debate, candidates have arts policies. There is this recognition that the arts is part of the civic infrastructure. And I think that's a step towards what it needs to become. The arts cannot survive on its own. It cannot sell enough tickets. It cannot sell enough paintings or enough poems to survive through capitalism alone. It needs to be part of the civic infrastructure the same way the fire department is. We've all decided a long time ago that we don't want our houses burning down, and so we pay people to sit around and then be in action when there's a fire. We need to pay artists and arts organizations so that they can survive and thrive. Everyone here is so passionate. Artists are so easy to exploit because they keep making art no matter how badly you treat them. But when you treat them well and you give them support, it really could become an extraordinary place. And I do see small steps that way. There need to be larger steps, but I think it's great that the politicians this season are actually treating the arts as something that needs to be addressed, that is part of the civic infrastructure.
And yes. Danielle, I want to come to you because I think you have such a unique perspective as someone who is from Jersey City, an artist that works in Jersey City, teaches in Jersey City, but also has had the opportunity to work in partnership and collaboration in other places as well. Let's be honest, too. I think we have to talk about some challenges as it relates just geographically to our position and where we are in such close proximity to New York. We are in close proximity where a lot of opportunities, funding, focus also goes to Newark. Talk to me a little bit about just your experience in Jersey City and what you're seeing in terms of working in other spaces.
One, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. The last time I graced this stage, I was 4 years old. I was the itsy bitsy spider. I actually went to St. Anthony's Elementary School right up the street. So with me saying that, it kind of breaks my heart. I am from Jersey City. My family's been here since 1900s, built some of the buildings in Jersey City on Radaman Place. I love Jersey City. I'm always gonna say that. But where I get funded and where I go and where I get the most help is not in my own city. I have to go to New York or my art home, which is Newark. So my funding, my grants, the things that help me to become or to be the artist that I am are coming from Newark. My murals stand in Newark. Studio spaces where I can work are in Newark. Maker spaces that I go to are in Newark. Opportunities that I get really come from Newark. My first real opportunity, I want to say, in Jersey City came from Robinson. Actually, SCAF, then it was Robinson, but my residency with SCAF was very short. With Robinson, I was with her for 6 months. I was at 150 Bay Street as one of the artists living with a disability. I am legally blind. I enjoyed my residency there. The support was there. The love was there. The community was there. And it made me think of old Jersey City. We had 660, we had 111, we had Lex Leonard, those things. That's what I felt there. But it didn't last. Because then, of course, I go to a space, I'm at Mana Contemporary, where yes, it's an artist space, but it really needs to be about the artists, and I get that in a totally different city. And that is in Newark. It's not here. Some people don't even know who I am. You know, maybe now because I was on TV for NAACP award and then it was known that I'm from Jersey City and I'm very proud of that. But a lot of my work does not come from this city.
And so, as we think about policy, as we think about engagement, I really think we need to also talk about infrastructure. We need to talk about the systems. What are the types of systems from each of your different perspectives that you think we can use as opportunities to better secure, better support, advance this community as an arts and cultural sector too? Yes, we know funding. Yes, we know affordable space. But what does that really look like in practicality, I think?
Fine. I think, as I said before, capitalism won't solve this. The arts doesn't pay. I'm actually in a space right now where that I took over when a college went bankrupt. And as soon as I discovered that the college went bankrupt, I called the landlord and I said, those spaces should be for artists. And he said, hard no, because artists don't pay. It's not a great thing. But then he exhausted all of his other options, so he came back to the artists. And now he's thrilled that we are enlivening the space, that we are becoming a real cultural center, that we're making an impact. But he's a rarity that somebody who is a developer, who is a landlord, would do that. We can't wait around for somebody to be persuaded or to run out of options and the art's the only thing. We actually need civic engagement. We need, this is actually a rarity. A developer created White Eagle Hall, but most of the other art spaces in this town were community benefits. The developer got 18 extra stories and somebody got a theater. That's the way it works. And we have to figure out ways that are not just giving people a theater, but that support the entire ecosystem. And we do need space, we do need affordability, we do need to maybe work with partners from other parts of the country. People are building affordable artist housing. There are areas of this town that have been designated as arts areas. Artists need to be able to live there. And the only way they can live there at an affordable rate is honestly if the government steps in or if there's a huge incentive. And it may be that I know the city owns little parcels of land. I know the JCRA controls little parcels of land. Maybe if we can figure out a way to develop them for artists and for the arts, it just becomes a richer place that we live in. But we can't wait for a developer to suddenly realize, okay, I'm going to not go for the money, I'm going to go for the cultural enrichment.
I totally agree with Robinson. We have buildings in Jersey City that we can use, tons of them, instead of tearing them down. Why not house artists like myself in there? I'm at the point where I don't even want to stay in Jersey City. You have, old churches. We should be turning those into maker spaces. Again, I keep speaking on Newark. One of their old mansions turned into a maker space. In the library, there's a maker space. Inside the Newark Museum, there's a maker space. So maker spaces meaning it's not just artists can go in there and work if they can't afford a studio space. Affordable housing for artists, affordable housing for people in general that live in Jersey City, so that we don't have to say, oh, let me go to the suburbs. I teach here. I've been teaching at Snyder High School for 25 years. I don't want to commute back and forth, especially with the traffic outside the city, now the traffic inside the city. So why would I put myself through that, or even my own children? So what Robinson is saying, we have spaces in Jersey City. Our old buildings, turn them into affordable housing for people, for artists, people in general in the city, and spaces for artists to live in. Man is not affordable. I'm sorry, it's not. I have my space because I need my space to stay on the level that I am as an artist. Thank God I am an art teacher, because I could not thrive in this city as an artist if I wasn't an art teacher. So, and then having a home that I can raise my children in as well, without feeling like I'm gonna get pushed out eventually. So we have space here. We need to utilize it. We need to use it. I always think of St. Lucie Church every time I pass by it. My grandmother played bingo there. I was baptized there. What is it turning into? What is happening? I know what's happening, but let's use spaces like that, for those to be for artists, for affordable housing. So, there's so much I can say, but it's just we have to make this the slogan be Jersey City is for artists, and I'm bringing up Newark again, that's their slogan, Newark is for artists. And that's what this should turn into if we really want to be about the arts, and we really want to speak about the arts.
Thank you for that. That's a segue to something that I always like to lift up, and that is that sometimes when we hear the term artist, we have this view that it's visual artists only. And so I know we've got visual arts well represented here, but I know there's musicians, I know there are dancers, I know there's arts educators, I know there's history and scholars and humanitarian folks and people from all of those different sectors. And it's extremely important that every person strip away the titles, whether you're an arts administrator or the leader of an organization or the leader of a band, and think about where do you fit into this fight that we're in. Not everyone is designed to have a microphone in their hand or to have their fist in the air or to be at a march. But if you're an artist, maybe you could make the signs. If you're a musician, maybe you could provide some entertainment. If you are a person that could provide childcare or meals, it's an entire ecosystem in terms of how communities organize. And it really gets down to the layer of who's voting and who isn't. So it's not as simple as kind of this policy of what we should do, but on the individual level, something that we prioritize is getting into communities to be sure that people have access to information so they can make informed decisions.
I think it's important to also talk about when we think about the diversity of the Jersey City arts community too. We have gallery owners, we have nonprofits, we have more commercial art spaces as well. We have your grassroots organizations. So there's so much diversity in terms of the level of expertise, the resources, and our ability to galvanize, to engage in many different ways. And Lynn, we had this conversation on Friday in preparation for this panel, and you said something that it resonated with me all weekend. I think I woke up Sunday morning thinking about it. You talked about developing this Jersey first mindset. What is that, and why do we have to prioritize that within the context of what we are trying to accomplish as advocates and culture bearers as well?
Thank you for reminding me of that. I was wondering, what did I say? We know we have a porous border between Jersey City, Manhattan, and Brooklyn. And when it is time to hire people, to give a teaching artist a contract, to put a person in your band, to hire an artist to create something, I think it's so important that we examine whether we are able to invest in Jersey people first. And what that means as a funder and grant maker is that if I'm awarding an organization $20,000 and they are performing primarily for the benefit of New York audiences, or 50% of the people that they're hiring are coming from outside the state, I really have to look at, are those resources for the benefit of the state of New Jersey? And I think it's tempting. Sometimes it's hard to find people. Sometimes it's an easy thing to do. But I do believe that we need to lift up New Jersey hiring, New Jersey talent, New Jersey artist community.
Clock it. Robinson, and when we talked, you also, and I think Lynn will have insight to this, and Danielle will talk about this from an artist perspective too, the necessity for information and data. How do we use data and collecting the stories of those community members, of those artists, thinking about the impact that we are having within our local communities to really advance the arts as well?
Yeah, I think that we all here, I assume, believe in supporting the arts. I think when I first actually took over the Arts Council and we were starting to fundraise and look at things, I thought I could just go to a CEO of an organization on the waterfront and say, support the arts. And that would be enough, because of course. But I think for the kind of money we need, for the kind of support we need, you do need data. And a lot of the arts is anecdotal and feeling and the same people talking to one another. I think that, we do have the Arts Trust, and it's great that it has given out so much money, but we don't really have much feedback as to the impact of it. I can think anecdotally, the years before the Arts Trust, when I was here, it felt like one or two small arts organizations would go out of business. And I don't feel like that's happened in the last 4 years. So maybe that's an impact, but that's purely anecdotal. And I think if we really want to make the case that we need significant support, we do have to show, and I think all of these numbers that the arts has this many jobs and has this kind of impact, I think they're words that don't always land. I think being able to show what the arts does and what the impact of the arts does, and I can't tell you the exact formula that we show it, but I think that's part of the plan we have to make. We need an arts plan. And because when you actually have a specific arts plan, like the Arts Trust, we went into Fulop's office and we said, the city has to support the arts. And honestly, to his credit, within 2 weeks, that legislation had been born. But we had a plan. We wanted 1% for the arts. We needed a tax for the arts. We need a plan. We all want something. We all want more space. We all want affordable housing. We have to figure out how to get it. And I think having a plan, having data that hits everyone, because the support is out there. We did see that with the Arts Trust. It was 2020, a very difficult year. That ballot was on paper, and a lot of people voted in that election, and so people got to read it. And actually, the paper ballot said 2 cents, not up to 2 cents. And people still, in overwhelming numbers, said, yes, raise my taxes a little bit, because I love the arts, and I love the arts here in Jersey City, and I want to support it. Like, we know it's out there. People do want the arts to thrive. And we need to make it easier for the people who can make those decisions to make those decisions.
I do want to interject, Lynn. I want to hear from you, Danielle. I want to hear from you on this as well. But I do think you mentioned understanding the impact of the cultural trust. I do think we have reports available. Shameless plug. I'll take it, thank you. But I think we do have some in the back as well for folks if you do want to see. This is the 2022 to 23 report. I know that the 2024 report is being developed because I just submitted some information for it to be published. I don't know if Cultural Affairs is in the house, but it is coming. I will shamelessly plug that for you all. Lynn, talk to me as well about how we use storytelling. Danielle, I know you have insight on this too, of storytelling as that piece of activism too.
So I co-sign with this comment about data. And I have to say there's a disconnect, and there should be. If what you're really, really good at is playing your saxophone, you cannot also be expected to be a master at building a website and creating pie charts and bar graphs. Those two things it's great if you are, but unfortunately they often don't come together. And this is what I'm talking about every person has something to contribute. Because if you are the data nerd, if you are the gearhead, if you are the person that thinks it's fun to update websites, that is a tremendous need in the arts community, is the ability to gather, track, interpret, and explain data as it pertains to your impact. Something that I'm proud of, and I know many of you are proud of, is the amount of free, wonderful arts programming that happens all over New Jersey. I'm also very proud to say many organizations will have a statement like, no person turned away because they cannot afford it. But I also know very clearly that free is not free. So if you are serving 200 children in your camp and only 100 of them paid, there's a couple of different ways to do that. One is that you can count the other 100 and say we gave 100 scholarships, or you can leave the side door unlocked and say everybody come on in. And unfortunately, because we're strapped for resources and how to track and how to build those budgets, opening the side door and letting folks in for free is a wonderful thing to do, but it does not serve us when it comes to getting a comprehensive count of how many people we're serving.
Danielle,
What I'm thinking about is when you're speaking about just the people in general, is Lynn brought up a great point of New Jersey artists being the ones participating, but also getting to know your artists that live in each New Jersey state and knowing that they actually exist in that city. You know, knowing who's still here, who wants to be here, who wants to be a part of it, and using them to help create this, arts council, asking them to be a part of it. They might be a part of it, and hearing their voices. Voices, I think, are the most important thing. Just being able to hear our voices. Yes, you see us, but hearing us is another thing. And I mean really hearing us and what we have to say and taking some of that and adding that into the community. That for me is important. When it comes to stories and storytelling, I mean, that's my work. My work has brought me to becoming a historian. And that's not in New Jersey, that's in Louisiana, Mississippi, where the colleges are hiring me and universities are asking me to come out and speak on what I'm researching and doing. But you have those artists here who want to be a part of that. You have, in this one community, we have Ben Jones. He is filled with knowledge. And he should be up here. He should be speaking because he's here and he will just tell you what you need to hear and the things that can help the Jersey City community. As a professor, as an artist, as a world traveler, we need to be picking his brain. You know, he's 88 years old. We should be listening to him and what he has to say. And then some of those other artists that have been here for, I can't even tell you how long. So maybe that will help with just starting in this city with the Jersey City artists. And then, of course, like I said, the New Jersey artists should be a part of this impact, always, not outside sourcing.
The last prepared question that I think I want to focus on, and then we will open it up for Q&A from the audience, because I'm sure folks have questions or thoughts that they want to add to this dialogue, is we understand, too, that there has been a significant amount of focus in the downtown Jersey City area, right? But I think in Lynn, we talk about the equitable distribution of resources. How do we ensure thoughts in the area of ensuring that we are making sure that there are resources dispersed to the other communities outside of one concentrated area too?
My answer is brief. I think spaces like this have to feel safe and welcoming to everyone. This insider, outsider, how long have you lived here, kind of litmus test to decide if people belong, will have to recede in order for everyone to feel welcome. And it does, cause me to reflect and wonder, who didn't know about this gathering, or who knew about it and felt like this was not for them?
I do think that, because I have worked with the city and I've worked with a lot of arts organizations, there is a huge desire to make sure that all neighborhoods get the same funding, get the same resources as downtown. But I think actually the biggest challenge is they are spread out over 16 square miles. Jersey City is a big city, and mass transit is not spread out over 16 square miles. And so it is tougher because you can give money to a small arts organization in Greenville, you can give money to artists in the Heights, but it's harder to get the audiences to them without good mass transit. That's one of those things where if you said, well, in order to help the arts, we should improve mass transit, it improves things for everyone. But it is absolutely a challenge getting around this city. And so you not only just have to say, hey, you can have money here and you can grow a small theater here, or you can have a gallery here or a writer's workshop here, but if you can't bring the audience there on a reliable basis, it just makes it tough. So you have to look at the whole ecosystem. And there is a reason why around the world, arts spaces tend to cluster together. We're not all selling the same tube of toothpaste, but all the galleries want to be in Chelsea or Tribeca, and Broadway has a whole cluster of theaters. There are reasons why the arts kind of group together, and which is not to say that it all should be in downtown or Journal Square. There needs to be art everywhere, but it is tough when the audience is concentrated.
I think I wish there were spaces that were offered that are not being used in the Greenville area to be turned into grassroots spaces. And this is someone I teach at Snyder. I teach on Bergen Avenue. I am from downtown Jersey City. I don't live in downtown Jersey City. I live in Journal Square. I want to move from Journal Square. But what I'm saying is these spaces that we have all over the city, if the city can put some money into the spaces in every single community around Jersey City, Greenville, the Heights, every area needs to have spaces. I understand, in Greenville we have the Bethune Center, but we need more. We need more than that. We need gallery spaces there. We need spaces where children can come in and perform and sing and draw and act. Yes, we have the VPA program or the JC Arts program. That's in NJCU. But we need something like that for inner city school kids or inner city kids in Jersey City everywhere. It needs to go around this whole city, particularly right now in the Greenville area, where it can keep some of these kids off the street. Because I am a Jersey City teacher, and it's hard to be in my classroom, and I hear everything that goes on in the street, and then I have to teach them how to actually be adults, because I'm in the high school system. The community should serve this community. The community should serve the Jersey City students, people, population. We need spaces for the community. We need it. We need it. In the arts, man, if there was spaces for all the talented kids in Jersey City to come in, get a free instrument and work, a space where our teacher like myself will just go in and give my services, someone who will come in for vocal lessons. There's so many people in this community who will do it. We need it, and we have the spaces to do it. We need to occupy them and use them the right way instead of tearing them down and building up the buildings.
Thank you for that. And I appreciate getting this feedback, because what I'm hearing is that we do have some inequities, not only in Jersey City, but I will speak for people across the state. And what I'll say to your point about so many resources being in downtown Jersey City is that a successful organization might not look like a place with beautiful lights that's been renovated and repurposed. It might be a dance program that's happening in a church basement. And that needs support, because there's magic happening in church basements and backyards and community centers all over the state of New Jersey. And so I'm here for the rural and the ones that are farther away from anchor institutions. Something that's really important for us to understand is that there are assets everywhere. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to bring in something new or that it needs more people. It needs support for what it is today.
I just want to that point, thank you, yes. I just want to uplift as well, again, data and reporting. In page 3 of this report that you can get in the back, it does map out where there are funded programs and institutions that are being supported by the Cultural Trust, the Arts and Cultural Trust as well as shameless plug on the Jersey City Arts Council website. We also have a map of cultural assets in the city as well. So please check out our website so that you can understand what other arts opportunities, cultural organizations, cultural centers are available right here in the city. With that, I do want to open it up for thoughts, comments, and questions from the audience. If you would like to join us at this mic right here, yes, let us know who you are and your question.
Hi, my name is Brandy Belenke. I'm a local artist. I'm like a functional 3D artist. I also am the founder of the Waldo Ave Community Garden. You guys were talking about spaces. One of the things that I want to do with my garden, we've got 2 giant big tables. I want to create some kind of like craft cabinet. I don't know if anyone here wants to reach out to me later to partner with me on making it a space. It's a community garden that doesn't have a fence or anything. Anyone can come in and enjoy the space. And we've got 2 big tables that any artist or anybody can come at any time. Also, I love what Robinson said about, being an artist is kind of a zero-sum game. Like, we need city funding. One of my things that's been frustrating for me as an artist is that a lot of, because I make jewelry and shoes and small things, like a lot of my opportunities to show and sell things are at spaces where I have to spend $100, $450, whatever it is on a table, and it's just not feasible for the amount of sales that I make in a day, depending. So that to me is kind of a very important thing. Also, I feel like as a community, one of the big things that I would love to see is a website that has all the artists, all the call for arts, all the everything in one place. Maybe has all the musicians, like find a musician, do a call, something, because to me, having lived here for over a decade, I feel like it's gotten more and more disparate. I mean, I think everything has with what social media, what's happened with everything, and I miss a lot of things. Like there was a Bob Piersanti opening yesterday in Hoboken. I saw it with less than an hour to go. I missed it, and I'm just like, it's frustrating, But I think if we could somehow get all of the community events and places and everything under a giant umbrella of a website, that would be super helpful. Yeah.
All right, preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
I feel like for the last decade, it's really tough because there are a lot of websites where you can put yourself on that calendar, but you need somebody to put it on. What we need when we started the Arts Council, and Deonté knows this because I told him about it, is we had very briefly a curated calendar because people do need to know what's going on. It's really hard to know what's going on in Jersey City. People basically just go to Eventbrite or hope to find something on the Instagram. You need somebody who's controlling a calendar who says, White Eagle hasn't posted anything for a while. Are they still in business? And then goes and looks, because you can't really rely on, look, I have a lot of events.
Oh, sure.
Are
Yeah.
they on every calendar? But it's tough, and it's the sort of thing the Arts Council should do. No, we absolutely need it. We need it.
And I think we're at a place in time where with building websites between API and AI, just be able to make for a gallery, if they put a call for art on their website, it should be able to auto upload or send to someone's inbox that says, okay, this looks right,
Again, just
And
want
that's a little legwork, yeah.
But plug too, the Jersey City Arts Council, we do have a calendar that is easily accessible where folks can access all of the information that is uploaded. Community members can also upload information about events as well. So there is a calendar that exists. I know that I believe the Department of Cultural Affairs has also had a resource on their website as well for opportunities that are happening in Jersey City. Do we absolutely need to probably invest in some capacity to manage that a little more? Absolutely, but there are some things that are available to us.
Yeah, I think that Robinson, you do a great job with with those emails. I think, Yeah.
That also goes back to community though, and what I was talking about, maker spaces.
Yeah.
Artists getting together in one space, you're all gonna hear these things. Those things are gonna be posted. You can talk about these things. That's just like, let's go back to LITM. Artists would meet up in LITM, we will find out all the information we needed to find out. You meet up at Lex Leonard's Gallery, 660. You meet up at the T-Spot. You're all meeting up and you're talking about the things that are happening. We need some type of space that feels safe, where all the artists can come out, have fun, talk, sit down, have an artist talk about the community, and share all these different types of things that are happening in Jersey City. But that's when you lose parts of the city, and you have to try to figure out a way to get it back on track, and just, come together again, because we're all here. We're not here. We're not together. It's not a hub. And if we could find a space to do that, I get using the website, but just talking to each other once in a while, saying hello, hey, how are you? This is happening. We need a space for communion. We need it. It's wanted. It's necessary.
No, I agree, but we also need the audience to know where the things are.
Yeah.
So,
And the audience also over the years, because I've lived here since 2012 and started coming here 2010 or 11, but there's a huge swath of affluent people that have moved in that could be supporting the community. And you go out for, studio tour or anything and see the same people and don't see any of these, over hundreds, thousands of people that have moved into the city.
So I heard from a political candidate who's running for mayor that 55% of the people who were renting here in Jersey City in 2017 are gone. They've moved, whether they've moved to Bayonne, whether they've moved to Montclair, whether they've moved to France, I don't know. But they're not here. Maybe they're homeowners. So we know that there are more apartments than there were in 2017, and 55% of the people who are occupying the ones that were there are not here as renters anymore. There is a whole new group of people who don't know, would not know what LITM together as letters mean. So we do have to reach that group. They tend to look across the river. We need them to look here and let them know what we are. And it's really hard. We don't have, I mean, the Jersey City Times, I will actually say, does a great job. If you're on their mailing list, they send you every weekend what's going on. But they only know what they know, which isn't what all of us know. And I will say the biggest megaphone in this city is Steve Fulop's social media. When he says something, people know it. And it would be nice if he spoke more about the arts. But
yes, thank you for that.
Thank you so much for your time.
I did want to make space. We have two more questions that are prepared.
What's up, y'all?
Hi.
How are
What's up,
you?
Lynn? What's up, Robert? What's up,
Hey,
Danielle?
Rashad.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, everyone? Getting better and better. Come on now. I just wanted to say, shout out Danielle earlier for talking about artists that have challenges with their abilities. I think, shout out you for being able to find the accommodations you need and that are necessary for you to continue making your work. I myself am lucky enough to be a veteran, so I use the VA department, but a lot of my peers, a lot of the artists around my age don't have those resources or accommodations. I love the fact that there's so much more support in my city right now, but are these artists being provided health care, life insurance, and what's the next steps towards making these artists feel like fuller citizens in the city that they live in?
You really identified the heart of the arts ecosystem. The bedrock is the people, is the individual artists. And in order to make a life, to be able to thrive, everything that you described is necessary. Now, how do we make pathways for that to happen? That's really the granular part of this conversation, because I do know that artists that find it to be too big a price to pay are either leaving the state of New Jersey or choosing another profession that just doesn't feel so hard.
And I think, especially speaking from a service organization perspective as Jersey City Arts Council, the importance of showing up so that we can develop that advocacy plan as well, so we can understand what are the needs of individual artists, knowing what the needs of the community are, that as we engage with legislatures and policymakers too, we can set that forth as a priority. So I also want to encourage folks to, we are a very local art service organization. There are many statewide service organizations, New Jersey Theater Alliance, Dance New Jersey, so many others that I would encourage people to also look at, because they also have access to resources and information for individual artists, for cultural workers. There's a whole statewide initiative called Arts Pay New Jersey to ensure equitable compensation in the state of New Jersey for arts and cultural workers, for artists. So definitely also look at some of those statewide opportunities as well.
Well, I'm not speaking for myself, but the reality of it is that a lot of us are contract workers. What accommodations can we make long-term to make sure that all these arts educators, however you're working in art, have a consistent resource, something that they can rely on? I know there are resources for them, but what is the city providing? What can be given to them that's a bit more reliable than applying to some grant or something like that,
That's the problem.
Right.
We don't have universal basic income. We don't, there are a lot of artists who, because they want to do art, are doing part-time jobs or the kind of jobs that aren't building Social Security. Nobody has a pension plan. It's an unbelievable challenge, and that is why we have to be part of the civic infrastructure. We have to be recognized as such a vital part of this whole ecosystem that we can get financial security, because being an artist is unbelievably hard. It's hard enough to be a creative person, but the world makes it harder because it won't give you a living. You have to be such a tiny minority to make a living at the arts, no matter what your field. And that's just not right, because we bring so much joy to people. We ask the questions that move civilization forward. Artists are what makes society, what connects people. It is, I think, the most important job that you can have. And it's not compensated, it's not recognized. And teaching too. Capitalism does not treat teachers well. It does not treat artists well. And maybe we need a revolution. It might be a different conversation.
A whole different conversation. And I think we will have space too to hear from some folks who are pursuing office this season that might have thoughts around that as well. Yes, I think we have 2 more, and then I want to, yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Natasha. A lot of people know me as Techno Chic. From 2014 to 2017-18, I traveled around the country going to events called maker fairs or the like. And I saw different ways that different cities and organizations and communities put together a makerspace or a community. And one of my favorite ones was through the library system. There are some larger cities that have a makerspace library. So naturally, I was really excited when the Jersey City library system said they were going to have a makerspace branch. But unfortunately, the branch is kind of a regular library. It's not really a community space. It's not a place where you can have a tool, you can repair something that you couldn't do in your own apartment, you could spray paint something, use fixatives or things that you can't do in your house. So I'm just really curious how we can partner with the library system. It's really just a question, how we could utilize things like that. And also as a kid, I did theater in my hometown in New Jersey because the Parks and Recreation Department put together programming for us to do art. So I'm just putting this out there. I don't know where to start with these thoughts, and I wanted to hear from the community about maybe figuring out a way to put this together across the city. So that's my thought.
I think you're right, and I think that this shouldn't be about just whoever is the next mayor giving us a lot of money. That, one of the things that the Arts Council can do as a group that doesn't particularly, whose constituency is everyone, and so is not trying to just get funding for one theater or one gallery or whatever it might be, is to work together with the whole ecosystem, because we all benefit when the arts is strong. So I do know that one of the first things we did when the Arts Council is toured all the libraries to see what the facilities are. There is a lot of red tape involved in the libraries and the way they're set up, but there should be partners throughout. You should be partnering with the Chamber of Commerce, as well as the libraries, as well as the parks. Every part of this city should be benefits from the arts and should help move the arts forward.
Yeah, I really like the specificity of your question or your point, because that's something that you see as, you've seen models around the country and you're imagining what it could be here. And I think one of the first steps is to understand, is there anyone else who thinks the way you think that feels like that's missing? But the other thing to lift up is the importance of collaboration across disciplines or in adjacent disciplines. The library system is not independent of our historical commission, is not independent of our state arts council. And sometimes it feels like we're in one lane, when in fact, the IMLS, the Institute of Museum and Library Services, I believe, has been completely gutted and dismantled, and we're gonna feel that close to home.
Oh, no.
So, that's...
Yeah, I wanted to mention museums as well. I've seen have done, in some places, amazing jobs, and in some places are really struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're hurting right now, but I do think banding together to identify with specificity like that, to be able to say, this is exactly what we need, and this is the community that agrees with me, is the place to begin.
Thank you. Thank you all. I think we have time for one more question, and then we also want to hear from our other invited guests, and we have to get ready to close this conversation.
Hi, thank you so much for everything that you said. I think everything I completely agree with. My name is Giselle Baez. I create music in Jersey City. I've been doing it for a really long time. And unfortunately, lately, a lot of the spaces to rehearse for musicians, I used to rehearse all over. There was even a place, I don't know if anyone remembers Citizen. I would ask them, I'm like, hey, can I come in and rehearse? And he would allow us. And I've done things, like I've knocked on doors in the past of restaurants, anyone who will allow me to come in and like, hey, can I do a performance or can I do a trade-off? And I've found that it's just been a little more difficult, especially with the rehearsal space that burned down. Now the music school, I've had to go to Manhattan, Union City. I can't find a place like under $80 to rehearse, and now people say, oh, the library. So there are spaces, but I just don't think for musicians, some of the things that we require, it's a little inconvenient. And I was thinking like providing a incentive for businesses to open up their doors, maybe like trade-offs, just what I've done personally, but I know a lot of the musicians that I work with are just struggling with that right now. Just where do we create, where do we work?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think for us at the Arts Council, we're even really thinking about, as we're developing our advocacy agenda, really thinking about advocating for support for performing arts-based artists as well, because I think what I've noticed as becoming new to this community too is that there's a lot of investment in resources and opportunities for visual arts, but how do we think about, again, the equitable distribution of resources, access to spaces across artistic disciplines as well?
I mean, for me, it's always going to be use the spaces that we have. We have spaces that are empty. We need to figure out a way. How can we take back or reclaim those spaces and utilize them in this community? How can we use them? How, instead of just tearing them down, how can we just go in there? Lynn said this. It doesn't have to be a big building, beautiful. No, you go in. People will come in, artists will come in, they will paint, they will strip the floors, the walls, we will renovate bathrooms. Everyone knows someone who will come in and help build the community within our community. It doesn't have to be something. My mom is 72 years old. My mom is a general contractor. I'll get on the phone, say, hey mom, can you come and help? My mom will come. And that's what I mean. It's us all coming together for something that we really, really want. It doesn't have to be luxurious and big and this. No, we just want a space to feel like you can come in and sing. My students can come in with their keyboards. You know, my art kids can come in with this. We need that. And all the artists in the world, the theaters, you know, we need that. You know, it has to happen somewhere here. An old building, and I keep bringing up Newark. Newark uses their old buildings, and they use them for their community all over.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all the time we have for questions right now. I know we are not going to probably get to all the questions, but feel free after this panel to please connect with Jersey City Arts Council. This is just the beginning of a series of conversations, city conversations that we will be having both virtually and in person throughout the community. So be on the lookout. Can we give a round of applause to this amazing panel and all of their brilliance and what they've offered? Thank you all. I appreciate you.
Let's give it up for Deonté Griffin-Quick.
Deonté.
We do have some guests. I believe Mr. Jim McGreevy is here, Commissioner Bill O'Day is here, as well as Christina Freeman is here, if I'm not mistaken. I do want to invite them to the stage. We know that, again, we are in the midst of a mayoral election. Just want to give them space and opportunity to greet the audience as well and reflect on any of the thoughts that they heard this evening. So I would invite those folks to the stage if they're still here with us. We have another mic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Christina Freeman, and I'm running for mayor of Jersey City. I listened to this panel here, and I imagined what Jersey City would be like with the arts being spread out, especially in the Greenville section. And I think that it would be a beautiful thing to see. It's something that I would love to see here in Jersey City, and something that I intend to support here in Jersey City. I am for the youth, And I think that it would be a wonderful collaboration, especially in the Greenville section. It's an opportunity for both communities that are struggling to thrive here to benefit from each other. So I will let you know tonight that I am for the arts and I am willing to support you guys in whatever way that I can support you. Please make sure you go out and vote November 4th. My name is Christina Freeman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. McGreevy.
So Ms. Freeman gave a much better and interesting speech than I will. But just a few things. One, thank you very much. Thank you for this great panel. Thank you, Lynn. Thanks, Rob. And thank you, Danielle. Just some personal recollections. I remember when I first worked for Jersey City Employment and Training under the leadership of Mayor Fulop, and I met this wonderful young woman named Brooke Hansen, who had an incredible vision for murals. And it was backed and supported by the mayor. And then all of a sudden you saw splashes of color all throughout the city. And the city sort of just came alive, but that was by virtue of that vision. So vision really has a profound impact. And then secondly, if I can, just talking about the importance of education and art, I was up at the Bethune Center, and my family happens to be from Greenville, from Clark Street, and there was a graphic arts display. And I went up there, and there were also books, graphic arts books, and there were these young children, these young boys who were about, say, 8, 9 years of age, and they were loving these books. They were reading these books, they were looking at the pages, the power, the impact visually, and the stories, and they sat there and they were reading and they were turning page by page. And it was just so exciting because it was the intersection between the art, between the language, and between them understanding a specific story. So I'm just going to try to go through this quickly. Is one, as we've talked about today, a stable, growing, and accessible funding, the Arts and Culture Trust Fund. It's a commitment that I will make not only to grow it strongly and to grow it annually, but in the first 2 years, I'd like to see it doubled. I'd like to see there be, again, supporting transparent, equitable distribution, simplified applications, verification of the metrics, and also I think is important is multi-year funding cycles so that people can rely upon that on an ongoing basis. Second, affordable spaces for artists, live, work, housing, which is so important, inclusionary zoning that reserves units for artists at below market rates, cultural space requirements in developments, I think was alluded to tonight, incentivize developers to build studios, rehearsal spaces, small theaters into new projects, particularly in the Powerhouse Arts District, and also those underserved wards that we just discussed. And also, I think Danielle said this time and again, vacant property activation, partner with landlords to convert empty storefronts with pop-up galleries or performance spaces at low or minimal cost. Third is protection and revitalization of cultural districts, obviously strengthen the Powerhouse Arts District, enforce arts-focused zoning, preserve historic buildings, and expand arts corridors, whether it's Bergen Lafayette, the Heights, etc. Fourth is citywide access and equity. As was said time and time again, arts in every ward. Funding and programming for neighborhoods beyond, candidly, downtown. Youth pathways, which is so critically important. And it said, you know, I think it was Robinson said, and I think Lynn said, we can't operate in silos, whether it's the school district, whether it's the library system, and the importance of providing pathways for youth and multicultural programming. Support cultural festivities and traditions. By the way, there was a great Latin jazz festival this weekend, which was phenomenal. Fifth is public arts and cultural placemaking, expanding the mural program, permanent and temporary installations, sculpture, interactive arts, performance in parks, plazas, transit hubs, integration with city planning, which is so important, that the arts be included in transportation, parks, redevelopment. 6 is economic recognition. The arts as an economic engine. The arts understanding that's generated well over 46 million in local economic activity, and tourism tie-in, or as we're about to see in terms of the World Cup, partner with hotels, restaurants, and small businesses. And lastly, advocacy and visibility. So I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here. I want to say thank you for the temple and the foundation that the Fulop administration provided for Jersey City. Thank you for expertise. But this is a shared responsibility. This is a shared responsibility with a vision to embrace the arts, not only as an economic engine, but I think, as Robinson said, something that is one of the few things in American life today that touches our souls, touches our hearts, touches our minds, makes us a better people and a better community. The arts are not discretionary. In America today, the arts, in many respects, is what binds us together as a people. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we want to hear from Commissioner O'Day quickly as we begin to wrap.
So I'm going to give less of a political speech because I think we're going to actually do a forum at some point, I hope.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'll save it for that. What I want to talk about today, no problem. What I want to talk about today is some real action items. Find me a building, and I'll figure out how to get it funded. The same way I worked with Christina's organization on a property on MLK in Claremont, where we're going to put their classroom space for the programs they run out of PS15 and 18 units of affordable housing. So let's find a building. I'll show you how we make the economics work. The same way the redevelopment agency was supportive of getting that project done. We'll put makerspace on the first floor. Maybe we get a church building, maybe we get a piece of land, and we'll put affordable housing for artists above it. And what I'm going to need you to do is help lobby, because we might need the state legislature to let us create a special needs category for artists so we can access something called the Affordable Housing Trust Fund from the state of New Jersey. So that's my promise to you. I don't need to be the mayor to do that. I worked with Blesk. I'm trying to help out Family Promise a little bit as they find a site. And I'll gladly work with you and with you to do that. So let's just find a site. It's going to take a couple of years. It's not going to happen overnight. You talked a little bit about history. My history as a lifelong resident of Jersey City goes back to some stage performances at St. Joe's Grammar School, St. Peter's Prep. Then I moved to Staten Island and they made me play in Finian's Rainbow at St. John's University, and then a little bit of community theater. So I appreciate the arts. But as a young councilman, I remember the Community Awareness Series and Dawood Williams, God rest his soul. Because without Dawood, we may not be here today. And I remember the battles where I was able to stand up with him as a member of the city council and fight to make sure that the CAS continued and that the CAS grew. And I also remember the educational arts team with Carmen Tabone, and now with this amazing woman in the back, having had the great opportunity to send my grandson to Camp Liberty 2 years ago. And I was at your closing ceremony this year to see those young people. And you're right, every child should be able to go there. We've got to figure that out. No child can be left behind when it comes to that. And then we spoke earlier. A couple of weeks ago, I went to Cheese Vasquez's summer camp on Brunswick Street, and I found myself buying 5 paintings. Some were $10, some were $20. They were all painted by young people. And I made every one of those kids sign the painting. You know why? Because I got a funny feeling one of them might be worth some money someday, because they were so talented. So I just want to sum up by saying, yes, the arts need to be everywhere. I am much more sympathetic for the need of the south side of Jersey City, which I've lived in for 52 years of my life, that we need makerspace and we need theater space. Just today, I got from Save a Few a proposal because they need $15,000 to run a hip-hop dance program out of PS-15. I'm kind of a roll up your sleeve, get my hands dirty, tell me where there's a problem, and we figure out how to solve it. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to work with you. And I look forward to that debate and forum. We can get into the deep, deep dive discussions the way former Governor Jim McGreevy today did. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Again, I want to thank you all for coming. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the board of the Jersey City Arts Council for all of their amazing work in helping to put this together as well. Thank you again to Mayor Fulop for coming. I see so many other faces in the audience. I don't want to start calling names, but there are folks. Meredith Burns, I want to thank you. Reverend Tammy in the back, I see you. Thank you for coming as well. Again, this is just the beginning of many conversations, so we are looking forward to it. Thank you all, and be safe going home.